Hello and welcome to a season recap of the Dominion League. This is season 53. We are in the D division. I chose to make this kind of video for a couple reasons. One is it's a bit of an experiment to see how this video does. And the second reason is I was thoroughly displeased with the way I played my first match in this league season. I also lost that 2-4 against Bombugler, but the play I was disenchanted with, and I thought I don't want anybody to see the kind of rubbish that I put down there. So I decided I wouldn't make any videos for this season. I was so upset. But then the subsequent matches did have some noteworthy games, and I wanted to share them with you. This is one of them. This is in our second match against Duchy. Here's the kingdom in question here. I believe this is our second game, and I lost the first one already. So a little bit of pressure. There are no actions here, notably. That's not entirely true. Scepter can play an action over and over. So it's not like you can't get multiple effects of Sacred Grove, for instance, or Swashbuckler. That is possible. And you can get thin with the Urchin. So I am going to open Urchin here. I did consider Hermit Pageant as well, but I figured, okay, I would need the Mercenary at some point to clean up all the coppers from the deck. So let me just start with the Urchins right away and get the Mercenary. I don't think there's much value with the Hermit because of the lack of actions. I can't gain that many things. It would probably be some combination of Silver and Astrolabes for the most part. So we go for the Urchin and we try to collide on the first shuffle. Now Derpa has a 2-5, so it'll be interesting to see what they opt for on the 5. They could get a Grove, they could get a Swashbuckler, they opt for a Transmogrify instead, which is also reasonable. I go ahead here and on 4, I get a Pageant. I want the Pageant at some point, and also I don't want to introduce a card into the deck so that the Urchins have a better chance, or the best chance, of colliding. I could have picked up another Urchin, of course, and achieved the same effect, but I rather have the Pageant, the passive effect of the Pageant as early as possible. Okay, 4 for Dupa here, and they spend quite some time thinking about what to do. Already, the 2-5 is not a good start for them. This is a board where you probably don't want to have 2-5. So they do have to think very carefully about their build path from turn 3 even. They opt for a Pageant. On 3 here, I am going to spend the coffer and pick up a Transmogrify. That could have been another Urchin. I did consider it. I opted for the Transmogrify because, well, I wanted one at some point, and maybe that gets me into a third Urchin if I need it. Maybe. Urchin for Dupa. Still no collision for me here, but again, that's my fault, right? There could have been another Urchin in the deck, but instead there's an Urchin and a Transmogrify. So we'll see how long it takes for this Urchin to become a Mercenary. Now I get the Hermit because, well, the Mercenary isn't around, so I would like to start trashing. So we pick up the Hermit for that purpose. Derpa's Transmogrify comes out. They gain a Hermit. So the Transmogrify got rid of one estate, the Hermit gets rid of another, and they will turn in for a Madman here, if I recall correctly. That does seem to be the best thing to do on a 3-card hand, and they'll be able to save some of this money with the Pageant. So they do get a Hermit. My Transmogrify goes down now, and here are the Urchins that collided, so I don't even need to turn this estate into an Urchin. Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know how you want to look at that. 5 again for Dupa. Hitting 5 for them will be very easy now because they've removed 2 estates from the deck. They have Pageant, money flowing from one turn to the next. So that's a good position for them to be in. They get their pick of 5 costs here. So we'll see what they go for. As for the end goal for me here, I am trying to build towards Duchy Duke. So Swashbuckler for Dupa, I'm thinking they want to do the same thing as well. and the swashbuckler makes sense. The coffers from the pageant make it much easier to get the treasure chest that was just up on your screen there. And the gold flowing in every turn will make it very easy to buy duchies. And we have plus buy as a treasure in the form of astrolabe as well. So potentially you could get something like double duchy on a turn. And I said there weren't any actions, but I also mentioned scepter. So you could play your scepter on your swashbuckler to draw more than 3 cards, 6 cards with one scepter, 9 cards with another scepter. So that is the kind of deck that I have in my mind. We'll see how it goes from here. I do call the Transmogrify because I would like 3 cost here. I opt for a Sage because I want to get back to this Mercenary as soon as possible. There's nothing else in the deck except for a Hermit, which unfortunately turns out to be on top of the deck, so I don't even get to trigger the shuffle with the Mercenary in it. I'll pick up an Astrolabe now and go for a Madman. Dupa's Urchins collide. They get their Mercenary. Their Madman is coming probably next turn, and they get up to another 5 cost here. As things are not looking so good for me at this point, I would say. I think Dupa is ahead. They have the Mercenary. They'll probably get to their Mercenary before me, thanks to the Madman. They get a Scepter. On 5, I buy my first Swashbuckler. So here comes the Transmogrify, getting rid of Dupa's final estate. They go get a Sage. And they opt to not play the Madman at this point, which is fine. They could keep the Madman for a rainy day. They discard their Swashbuckler for some arena points. Scepter comes out, trashes once more with the Mercenary. Now, you might think that's a good thing for them to do. It is, because the benefit of that is that it makes the deck thinner, makes it more consistent. The drawback is that that is one less Mercenary attack. So we'll see how it comes into play here. Up to 6 now. For them, I'm expecting another Scepter, saving a coffer with the Pageant. Pageant makes money strategies much easier to pull off as well, because in general, money strategies tend to have imbalanced hands with money. Sometimes you get 9 for a province, sometimes you get 7 and you miss province. The Pageant smooths that out for you. Pageant is a great money enabler. So I do have to be careful. If they choose to just go after provinces, I'm fairly confident they could probably pull down 1 a turn at minimum. And my deck is still struggling to keep up here. So they do think for quite some time on this hand here, and they opt for a gold. Now, I was happy to see the gold instead of a scepter. The gold tells me that they probably want to go after provinces, and they don't want to build something with scepters and swashbucklers. I get my first scepter here. I get attacked again by the Mercenary. Unfortunate. That was a good hand. I would have liked to kept both those cards. The Astrolabe in particular. I could lose the copper. And again, the Scepter here is used on the Mercenary to thin 1 more copper from their deck. We already discussed the advantages and disadvantages of that play. They get more points of the arena. I will get points of the arena here as well after drawing this Mercenary dead, and I just save money on the Pageant. I can't do anything else on that hand. Now, Dupa used their Madman. I still have mine. It shows up in my hand here. Their deck, I think, is completely thin. Now they are discarding their Mercenary for arena points. Their deck is very small. Most of it is on the table here. A gold, the Astrolabe, a Scepter. They get up to 6 again here. Plus the Transmogrify is on the mat, so they could chop and change at will. Another gold for them. Alright, so I don't want to use my Transmogrify here, probably. I could get rid of the Sage for another Transmogrify, but I think I could always do that later. I find my Swashbuckler early enough here after using the Madman, so I get 1 coffer. 1 coffer away from gaining the treasure chest. Now I trash coppers here with the Mercenary deliberately so, because I want to keep the estate just in case the Transmogrify finds it on an opening hand. That's an extra gain for me, and I can probably gain another Astrolabe with that. I do use the Scepter here on the Mercenary to trash more cards from my deck. I feel like I need to do that because I'm behind in deck size, deck development. I don't care about the attack so much now because it's not going to hurt them because their deck is small and I need to catch up. So I feel that's a fine play by me there. I'm up to 8. I don't really want to spend too many of these coffers. I would like to get the treasure chest is why. Now it's a bit difficult for me here to decide what to get on 8. I could get another scepter. I could get another swashbuckler for consistency, which is what I end up doing. I would like to see the swashbucklers sooner rather than later. Maybe that is wrong given my deck size. But the second swashbuckler goes in. I could spend here for a scepter as well, but I don't want to. I want to get the treasure chest instead. And the second swashbuckler is fine in the sense that I could always transmogrify that into a scepter if something like this happens. Alright, so Duper goes up to 9 and 2 buys here. Again, they bought 2 gold now instead of scepter, so that suggests to me that they want to go after the provinces more so than the duchy, and sure enough they do. Within 9 they are able to save a coffer. They get their first province. They took the lead in the arena points there on that last turn as well, so they have a points advantage from that as well. So I get rid of my estate here. I turn it into an Astrolabe, discard my mercenary for the final arena points. Now that was a little trick there. Because of the timing of arena, it triggers at the start of the buy phase, so I was able to discard the mercenary, play the scepter, then play the swashbuckler second time to then get coffers. The first time I played it, there was nothing in my discard pile, so I was unable to get the coffer, but because of arena, and I could keep doing this every single turn, you'll notice at the beginning of the game I switched off the autoplay on arena. I could keep discarding dead cards that I draw off swashbucklers and gain coffers of subsequent swashbuckler plays. So that is a fairly nuanced case for when you want to turn off the autoplay on the arena. So for example, I could discard action cards now for no apparent benefit, no VP benefit, but it'll benefit me by gaining a coffer from subsequent swashbuckler plays. Alright, so I don't want to go after the provinces. I want to go after the duchies. And I think 2 scepters will help me in doing that. It'll draw me through a lot of my deck, and they could potentially chain. So I just probably need to find 1. Then I use the scepter on swashbuckler, draw 3 more cards. That hopefully will find me into another scepter, which I can then play to draw 3 more cards, and so on and so forth. So Dupa continues on with the provinces. 3 of them are gone at this point. I believe they transmogrified 1. No, that doesn't sound right. They probably have 2 on 3 of them actually. So I do chain the scepters here. And I do have the 3rd one in my hand. I could draw the last card on my deck, but I don't really see the point in doing so. I won't even get the coffer. So I'll probably just take the money here. And I could start on the duchies, or I could continue building with more scepters. But I feel like, well, time is running out. They have 3 provinces. Yeah, I think they have 3 provinces, 2 estates or something like that to come up to... No. They have 2 provinces, 8 points from the arena. My apologies. So they did transmogrify 1 province. So they want to make the game very short, which means that prompted me to score a little bit earlier than I would have liked. But I think it was necessary given how they want to play this game. Alright, so here they come again with the swashbuckler. Find 1 gold, but I don't think they find the other gold. I think now the nice green bricks in the provinces are starting to cause some damage, but not quite so much that it would prevent them from buying province. They do buy a third one there. I get to play my swashbuckler. I find an arena. Now I'm going to play swashbuckler again. So just 2 plays of the swashbuckler here, but it is enough for double duchy. We are getting close on points. And I think I feel a little more confident now that we'll be able to catch them. But they get 1 more province here. They get 1 more province and they go 6 points ahead. What are we? 11 points? No, 13 points adrift at this point. So I have my transmogrify. I could change any of these scepters into swashbucklers if need be. Gold is a great target. They could be scepters or swashbucklers. I get enough money here for the remainder of the duchies, and I have no problem spending my coffers now that I have the treasure chest. I don't expect Duper to take that away from me with just 1 swashbuckler and 1 scepter. Or if they do, it'll take them a couple turns anyway. Another province gets trashed out of the pile. And are they able to buy 1 more? It doesn't look so. Not without a swashbuckler play. They opt instead to gain another transmogrify. So they want to perhaps transmogrify 2 provinces, something like that. Get the game over and done with quickly. But now, at this point, I think I am, especially with this hand, I am firmly in control. I have all the duchies, which means every single duke will be worth 8 points, and I'm only 4 points behind here. So despite me only being able to get 1 duke here, they're not getting double province, or they're not emptying the provinces on this turn, and I will be able to pick up more dukes on my turn here. They aren't even able to get up to province here. So now we're looking good. We're looking in control. It was scary through the middle, especially once they started to buy provinces, transmogrify provinces. But I think we have things under control here. And I always have my transmogrify on the mat in case I need to get out of a sticky situation, like right here. Any of duchy, gold, or scepter can go into a swashbuckler here and allow me to have a big turn. So we get a couple scepters off on the swashbuckler, a third one even, and we find our astrolabe. And while I could buy more dukes to assert dominance, I did have enough money for double province to finish off the game. So that was a very nice game because we had contrasting strategies. Duper believed in the province rush. I believed in the duchy duke. We stuck to our plans and we got a nice result at the end of it. So here's another one against Duper. I think this is the game directly after that one. Now, one thing you will notice about this kingdom is that it is a donate kingdom, which means you are able to plan quite a few turns in advance here, maybe like 5, 6, 7 turns in advance because of the donate. What else is there in the kingdom? Well, you have a few extra points in Island and Conquest. You have some draw and actions in Village Green and Draw and Journeyman, Tragic Hero. You have Gain, Forge, plus Buy and Charm. Charm also gains, so you can build quite big here. You can build quite big here, and you're able to get thin very quickly because of donate. So it's just a matter of figuring out how to trash down and then build up back as quickly as possible. Something I want to point out as well is that I have second player here, and on kingdoms like this, first player is a significant advantage because they could easily calculate far into the future, and then you'll always just be half a turn behind. They'll have the development lead for the whole game, and there's nothing you could do about it because there's no attacks, there's no way you could disrupt them. They'll always just be 1 step ahead. So we both open with silver on turn 1. Dupa gets a second silver on turn 2. I think I know what they're doing, right? Silver makes sense, and they'll probably trash out their deck next turn with a donate. So I could do the same thing. I could buy a silver and then trash out next turn as well. Or maybe buy a charm, then trash out the deck next turn. Something like that I could do. I could just follow. But I'm going to be a little bit proactive and pick up the donate before duper. Now the point of doing that is to try to circumvent or to overcome the first player advantage. So now what I am saying effectively by picking up donate that early is that I now have the first player advantage, so to speak, because I got the donate first. I have one less silver. Is that going to matter? Is that going to be detrimental? Well, we'll see. Duba picked up their donate on turn 3 there with 5 coins. So my idea now with 1 silver is to keep some coppers in the deck. So I keep 3 of them. I've calculated all of this, so you'll see how it unfolds here. I think my next plan here is to pick up a charm with the 5, right? Charm with the 5. Dupa trashes down all their estates, and they kept 2 coppers. So they get out of that, get up to 3, pick up a snowy village. Okay, so they have a silver and a snowy village. I have my charm. Great. Here's the plus buy. Here's the 6 for Dupa. Let's see what they do with it. They go for conquest to gain more silver. So they have a lot of money in the deck. They have plus buy as well. It's a good position for them. Now, with my charm, I'm going to gain 2 4 costs here. Could be 2 5s, but I need the spice merchant to clean up these remaining coppers. And alongside it, I would like a village green as well. That's part of my long-term plans. Here's 8, 2 buys for Dupa, so it could be something like Journeyman Guard Dog, Journeyman Silver, or 2 4s just like me. Spice Merchant, Village Green. All of those are fine options for them, I believe. They opt for a Tragic Hero and another Silver. Now I had a 50-50 chance of finding my Spice Merchant there. I went for it, it didn't work out, but I knew even if I didn't find it, I could still get the 5 plus the charm, so I could use the charm to gain. So now I'll go for the double 5. I get a charm and a Tragic Hero for draw. Why Tragic Hero over Journeyman? There's plus behind the Tragic Hero. Also, it can trash itself to gain me more charms, which I like. I think charms have a lot of potential here. On even 3 right now could be Snowy Village Guard Dog for me. Snowy Village Silver. 4 is fine. I could pick up a Necromancer and some number of Village Greens, and 5 is great as well. Pick up more charms and more draw. So charm, I believe, has a lot of potential here. Excellent draw for Dupa. They see all their money and 2 buys. So they go for a Village Green and a Journeyman there now to help them draw. Spice Merchant draws. This has again a 50-50 of finding me the Tragic Hero. I miss, unfortunately. And I have to use one of these charms for money because I want to gain double 5 again here. The double 5 is going to be another charm, I believe. And another draw card, I think. I do need to balance the actions with the draw here though. Do need to be careful of that. I do have a little more junk than Dupa, so we'll see how that works out. I didn't end up getting the draw. I ended up going for a conquest and a snowy village instead. Looking back on it, that feels wrong, but it is what it is now. Dupa sees their whole deck, which is 12 money total. Now 3 buys from the Snowy and the Tragic Hero. We'll see if they start in on charms or not. They probably want a charm. I was guessing they would want a charm, but they also want villages and draw. And they do exactly go for that. They go for village, journeyman, and a silver. So notably, there's no charm from them yet. I'm just quietly happy about that. I see one of my charms here. I choose to take the money from the Spice Merchant here because I wanted 9 and 2 buys. So I gain 2 5s, which is Charm and Tragic Hero, and I buy another village. But you know, you do the responsible thing. You put an extra village in your deck, and this is how the game rewards you. Now, here's a nice reason why you want Journeyman. Journeyman would have been dead draw there, but they named Village Green and was able to trigger its discard effect. So they don't actually have a dead turn here because of Village Green's very nice discard effect, and they are able to gain a platinum with it as well. 19 and 3 buys. That is intimidating already. Another tragic hero for them. So they could convert that into a platinum if they like. Second tragic hero and another village green. All I can do is dead draw my tragic hero, just try to get out of the shuffle as quickly as possible. Maybe draw into money. I do draw into a couple of charms, so I am able to get a pair of fives. More tragic heroes for me. Again, they can convert themselves into charms or platina, as you've seen from Dupa. And another charm for myself here. I thought better of the charm and I decided for Journeyman instead because I think I needed the draw at that point. So here are the villages looking at the bottom of the shuffle, unfortunately. Dupa gets another platinum and will probably be able to draw it up this turn. They have another tragic hero. They pull off the village green trick with the journeyman again. They get a second platinum that turn, draw it up, put it on the table. 29 and 4 buys. This is not looking good. This is not looking good. And they don't have to green at all in this position. And they don't. They do the absolute correct thing, in my opinion. Continue building with tragic heroes. So they get 2 more of them. And they could get whatever they like at this point. Honestly, 19 is a lot of money. They probably should have considered emptying all the tragic heroes here just as a resource denial play for me. Also as a draw for them. So they get a third one. I expected after the third they would get a fourth one, but they don't actually. They leave one tragic hero for me. I believe they opt instead for a village green at this point. I'm not entirely sure. But it could be Forge as well, you know. They have many options. They choose to donate actually. That was surprising to me. I know why they did it because they have a few copper in the deck, but I don't think they needed to do that. Anyways, so my first village green doesn't find anything and I don't want to risk the other village green drawing up dead. These are my only actions outside of the snowy village. So I save the second village green for the next turn and I get a pair of fives again, which is the final tragic hero. This time it's going to be a charm. This time is going to be a charm. So I have 4 of these charms now, and you might be wondering, okay, why am I going after these charms? I'll show you why. I will show you why. These charms have a lot of potential. And funnily enough, in a later match in this season, I was able to do something similar to what I did in this game with the charms here. So they do trash some silver from their deck and 2 copper, the remaining copper. So it's probably some silver and mostly platinum at this point. The tragic hero comes out, gains more platinum for them. Another one, this time charm, not platinum, and I believe that's their last tragic hero for a platinum. So 2 platinum and a charm gain this turn. 27, a bit less than last turn, 2 coin less, but the deck is more consistent now. Critically, no more tragic heroes are left, so we'll see what the build path for them is here, or if they'll opt to go into colonies at this point. Here comes the charm as well, so maybe they want to get charms like me now, maybe journeyman charm, or maybe they just want the extra buy. I'm not sure. Nope, they choose to gain journeyman, gain charm. And what will they do with the rest of their money? 22 and 4 buys. Could be some more charms if they like. They do have to be a little bit careful because then 2 piles would be, well, 1 is empty, 1 would be close to finishing, and village greens are at 5. So they just have to make sure there's no pilot. I'm not saying there's a threat of a pilot, but you do have to just make sure it's not going to happen that you'll get to come back next turn with your charms and use them. For example, you don't want to buy 4 charms here and then leave 5 village greens. I could probably get 5 village greens if I have a good turn, because I too could trash my tragic heroes for platina. Or I could just gain them off with the charms that I already have. So they have a bit of a think and they go for the double colony play, which makes sense. They want to be safe. They don't want to touch any of the charms or village greens, I guess. Okay, so I knew my draw cards were coming up, so one of them is here, the tragic hero. I have to calculate now and see if I can end the game here. And you might think that is ludicrous. How can you end the game from this position? Well, this is why I was collecting charms all this time. And I think I can end the game. And it is going to start with me exchanging these tragic heroes for charms. An added benefit of saving the village green for this turn is that the first tragic hero, I don't have to play the journeyman before the tragic hero to increase my hand size. The first tragic hero will trash itself to get me charms. So I pull off the journeyman village green trick here just to get a bit extra actions. I start exchanging all of my tragic heroes for charms. So I gained 2 of them so far. This will be a third one. Ideally, I shouldn't be thinking mid-turn here. That is bad. You should calculate properly if you're ending the game all the steps to do so, because what if this is just losing, you know? You don't want to make it any easier for your opponent. Okay, so I have to play the Snowy Village at that point. Here's Tragic Hero. I don't get the last charm because I think I need the money from the Platinum. Now I have 11, 6 buys, 7 gains off the charm. And I am going to empty the charms. And what is the third pile? The duchies. And 8 duchies are more points than 2 colonies. And we win that game, I think, in great style with the charms, really. I was very impressed with myself. With the charms, really. Being able to pile out the duchies. There's quite a lot of points, actually. 24 points is more than 2 colonies. That alone says something. So we take that game as well. I think this match against Dupa ended up 3-3. I think it ended up 3-3, and then we move into our third match of the season here. Just have to get back. Yeah, here's the Kingdom. So now this one is against the Pixie. This is the longest video I have to show you all, or the longest game I have to show you all here. It was very tense, especially near the end. Now here, we don't have trashing per se, but we have forum, which helps to connect your pieces like Capital City and Werewolf. Squire is the only thing for plus buy, honestly, which is a bit sad, but you have to suck it up and use it. And critically, there's Smugglers for gain. That is going to be a key card in this matchup here. So let's see how we progress. We want to build up as many capital cities and werewolves as possible. It looks like a pilot will happen here, honestly, because we probably both want capital cities and wolves and forums as well. So combined with both of us competing for the same resources as well as smugglers, I think there will be a 3 pile. I open with Patron. It is equivalent to silver, and I get to keep a villager for my troubles. I want the silver to get to 5 to get to, well, you see how many 5s are there. You can also gain with Way of the Rat, so there is a lot of value for overdraw in this kingdom. If you could draw a lot of cards, you could discard, gain something with rat, pick it back up, play it immediately. A lot of potential for pile out here. We both go Patron. I go for Smugglers. Pixie goes for Smugglers. I need to get a Squire at some point, so I do it now. That might be wrong. Maybe you want a second silver at that point, but I figured that is as good a time as any to get a Squire. So here's the Patron for the Pixie. I'm just curious to see if they get up to 5 or not. I hope they get up to 5 because I have the Smugglers in hand. I could just smuggle it. I missed 5 here. I had 3 and 4. They do get up to 5. Very, very happy. So we do smuggle a werewolf. And on 4, I do take the second silver at this point. I am considering it anyway, but instead of silver, I think Patron is just better all the time. Unfortunately, the Pixie is able to smuggle the werewolf that I smuggled, so good for them. And they pick up a Squire. Now I get to 5 here. Fortunately, it will be a capital city. Maybe it should have been another werewolf. I'm not entirely certain. Capital City is another great card for connecting pieces. The Pixie does choose here to go ahead and gain another Squire with the rat and then buy a third Squire. Now, I didn't like that because the Squire doesn't draw cards and it's already very difficult to connect your pieces here. And the Squires, I think, for the most part, will just get in the way. The way I'm looking at Squire is you're just here for the plus buy. I don't really want you here as a source of plus actions. If you have to, fine, but I rather use my capital city to do that. Gain a second silver here and a second smugglers. So we'll see how much work that puts in. Werewolf from Pixie, followed by a patron. This is why the patron is good. I mean, it's basically a silver at this point. Pixie picks up a second smugglers, so we do have equal gains, so to speak. It's just a matter of where the shuffle wants to put our smugglers now. Unfortunately, I think they miss 5 here. Unfortunately for them, unfortunately for me too. They do get a second patron and force me to top deck my smugglers. I'm happy to top deck my smugglers because I don't want to smuggle anything that they got there. I want to smuggle 5 costs. I don't want to smuggle 4 costs. Could have attacked with that werewolf. I think it's more valuable to gain a werewolf. I have 3. I don't really want to get another silver and I don't really want to get another Squire, but I took the second Squire. The deck is big, you know, maybe I only see 1 Squire. And the plus buy is important. But I didn't feel good about buying either silver or Squire there. Alright, Smugglers smuggles a werewolf. I also smuggle a werewolf and I buy... Well, I have 3 again. This is very sad. I don't want to buy anything, as I mentioned. But I think I am just going to go ahead and get a Squire, a silver. I don't know. I don't want the merchant camp because the Squire is basically the merchant camp. I choose Squire instead. Maybe it should have been silver. Because I have 3 Squires now. And that's probably 2 more than I wanted. Patron comes on for Pixie here. So we'll see if they get to 5. Now 5 is really just all we're trying to get here. With regards to the werewolf count, I believe we are... I think they are ahead on that. I think I have 3 of them. No, in which case they have 3, so it's equal for now. 8 is interesting. You probably don't want to buy province here. You could do forum on a 3 cost. That is certainly possible. Or you could just pick up a 5 cost, which they do, in the form of capital city. I'm going to actually use the capital city effect here to find me my smugglers. Hooray. We get our capital city of the smugglers. We buy another one. The Pixie smuggles the capital city. This is why I think the 3 pile is coming. Smugglers just keep popping out of people's hands, making the piles lower and lower. So here I think they miss 5 again, the Pixie. This is why I don't want the Squires. You see what's happening? They get a 3rd smugglers even now. I burned through all my villagers here, but I think that is completely fine. Look, the same rubbish that happened to them happened to me with all these silly squires in the deck, you know? I want to see capital cities and wolves. I don't want to see these squires. I gain another capital city. Maybe that should be a werewolf at this point. I'm not sure. I consider the third smugglers as well, and I do take it, although I'm not really sure how much value the third smugglers will get. We have 4 piles very close to emptying now. Squires, capital cities, wolves, and a smuggler. So we just have to keep our eyes open for a pile out. Pixie here seems to have quite a good turn. They find, I think, all of their werewolves, all of their squires as well. And it means that they probably find a lot of their smugglers. 2 of them, smuggling 2 capital cities. Patron comes down, more villagers for them. And if I had to guess, they would just buy a capital city to kind of stifle my smugglers, limit the things that it can gain. They even smuggle a third capital city, so I expected this here to be the final capital city for them, so that my smugglers would be completely dead. But they don't do that, actually. I was surprised. They choose instead to get... It's not province, I don't think they get province yet. So maybe it's something like werewolf. We'll have to wait and see. This game happened a while ago. But I'm sure they are considering province. I mean, the capital cities are effectively empty, or they could empty it if they want, or they expect me to smuggle the last one. Then they're just werewolf smugglers and squires left. So it's not unreasonable, I think, to get a province here, but it's also not unreasonable to continue building with another werewolf, for instance. The concern they have, I understand, with buying any of the 5 coasts is that what they did to the capital city, I could do to the werewolves or the forums. Smuggle 3 of them. And then that would help me greatly. They could come back and do it themselves, but at that point I would have either more draw from the werewolves or more filtering from the forums. So they do have a proper think here about what to... And Smugglers does that. Smugglers Games does that. You do have to be very careful about the cards you gain, because it affects the cards your opponent can gain. And actually, the Pixie was thinking much more deeply about this position than I was during this game. There's a turn here. I don't think it's this one. It might happen a couple turns from now, where I think they were very, very close to piling out this game. Very, very close. I probably have to consider myself lucky that I didn't get piled out on, because I really wasn't thinking about that line of play that they demonstrated later. We get the prompt here asking us if we want to make the Pixie resign. That is the 5-minute mark, I believe. So it gives you an idea of how difficult the decision is here. And they choose the province, which is fine. It doesn't give me anything to smuggle except for that lone capital city. And it gets them a points advantage, which might be useful in a end game that could appear quite quickly. Who knows? So here I could have a province if I like. I choose instead to draw. The draw does not get me to money for a province, unfortunately. But I intentionally chose this, so I'm fine with it. 7 is enough for a forum from me. Now I know it opens up them to picking up forums, to smuggling forums, but they brick, actually. They just come up with enough for a humble castle. Said, okay, no problem. I take bricks. I welcome bricks from my opponent. I find 2 werewolves, but it doesn't really draw me into that many cards. It does get me up to 8 for a province, and I think here's the turn where you will see why the Pixie chose to pick up the humble castle there instead of something like a silver or merchant camp, because this is the turn where they almost pile out on me, if I recall correctly. So they are going to draw a lot of their deck here. They see all their werewolves, bulk of their capital cities, and the line that I missed is using the Way of the Rat combined with the buys from the Squire to pile out the game here. As it stands, on this turn they have nothing to smuggle from me. I bought province last turn and nothing else, gained nothing else. So I felt very safe here. But really, I shouldn't be feeling that safe. They trigger what I think is a bad shuffle there, but I think they had plans of piling out, in which case the shuffle didn't matter. Just 5 cards left in it now. 4 cards after this capital city. Remember, they have lots of capital cities. They won that split comfortably because the smugglers showed up at the right time for them. So they can draw through these last 4 cards if they like. I feel like they would like to do that. Another pause from the pixie here. Draws 2. Just 2 cards left on top of the deck. And here you see it. Smugglers being used to gain more smugglers via Way of the Rat. That leaves 3 squires and a smugglers in the pile. But it seems like they miscalculated here because they asked for an undo. So do they actually have it? Do they have the unexpected pile out with the Way of the Rat? See a squire come out. Maybe this is for more buys. Is it? Is it, Pixie? Do you have it? Do you have the win on the single point from the humble castle? More buys, even more buys. So we should be seeing triple smugglers gained here, and then they would need 6 and 3, $9 to buy out the game. They don't. They don't have enough money to do it. Wow. So what they do instead is province and squire. I guess the smugglers getting rid of the coppers from their hand took away enough of their economy to make the pile out impossible. Very close call for me there. Very close call. They get another squire for themselves there. Probably to try to set themselves up for another attempt at piling out. I probably could try something like that myself, but I am 7 points behind. So I think I cannot touch the piles at all. That is not in my interest whatsoever. So I'm happy to discard these smugglers to the capital city for coin, potentially using the coin for draw, as I do here. I'm not able to get all the way through the deck at this point, unfortunately. But it does get me to enough for a second province. The pixie is still ahead because of that humble castle purchase, so maybe they could have the run back here and finish the game. They did drop the squire pile down, so it's easier for them to do so, but they have a grand old brick, and I brick, but I find money. I didn't find green in my brick, and I get a third province, so now I have the points lead. Maybe now I could pile out. Can I? We'll see, we'll see. If the pixie break last turn, they probably have a good turn here. So I'm expecting them to get up to province for sure. I don't think they could try for the pile out and get a points lead at the same time. I would be astounded if they could do that. Alright, here comes the werewolves. It's a bit sad that we each only have 3 werewolves here. But the smugglers did make it difficult for us to decide when to get wolves. So So said, so done. The pixie is able to pick up a third province. I break a. I only have enough money for a crumbling castle, which fortunately is enough to get me a points lead at this point in the game. Might be useful. Might be useful. And the castle is also something that the pixie is unable to smuggle. They could smuggle the silver if they want, though. I did also gain that from the crumbling castle. I don't really want them to smuggle the silver, but that's probably the least harmful thing that they could smuggle. So I had to let it go. I think I needed the points lead there. And I didn't want to get the estate because they could smuggle 3 back, get a points lead, maybe pile out like they tried to previously. So it's fine, have the silver. That's the concession I was willing to make there. Okay. So they get up to 5 on the board, probably 8? No, they just go for a castle of their own. So now they take our points lead back on the castle. We are going through the castles, apparently. Trading points that way. Obviously, nobody wants to touch the penultimate province here. And all these smugglers are pretty much dead at this point. Which is why I was a little hesitant on picking up the third one, but I didn't want to fall behind on gains. Maybe it was fine to do so. Okay, so I don't want to trigger a shuffle here. All of my good cards are here. So I decided to just stop at this point. I could gain a forum with the rat if I like here, because my plan is to buy a haunted castle that will attack them, will force them to top deck 2 cards, so that is very helpful. And I think combined with the attack, it's fine to gain a forum here. I just didn't want them to gain too many forums because the forum is doing good work for me. I'm happy I had the extra forum. They get one there, unfortunately, but it does mean now I might be able to smuggle back 1 or 2 of them if I have a good hand. If I have a good hand. So we'll see what happens here. I don't find any of these smugglers, though. That would have been a great time for me to pick up 2 or 3 forums. Now I have to think about what to do. The points are tied, completely tied. They have the castle that could gain other castles. I don't want to get an estate again because I think they might be able to just smuggle 3 back and then maybe pile out. I'm not sure. I'll pick up a silver instead. Points are tied. Provinces are 2 left. Two squires are left as well. The pixie is able to connect 2 wolves at this point. Very good for them. We've built up quite a number of villagers at this point. So the patrons did their job. Very happy about that. I don't think any of us will have to worry about actions for the rest of the game. So let's see how much the pixie gets up to here and what their play is at this point. So 5 is how much they get. Now, again, they have to be very careful about what they gain here. They could gain Duchy to break the points tie. Then they have to be concerned about smugglers smuggling Duchy. They could get werewolf, they could get forum, all of that. They do have to bear in mind. Whatever they get, I could probably get. They choose the Duchy. And fortunately for me, I smuggle a Duchy back. And I buy an estate. Why I buy the estate now? Well, 1 is all I could afford. 2, if they're smuggling, they're not smuggling an estate, they're smuggling Duchy. Alright, so really it comes down to where the smugglers are and if we could keep this chain of Duchy going back and forth. For how long can we do that? Here comes their forum. I'm sure they're very happy about that. Makes it more likely for them to see their smugglers. Gains a silver with the squire. No, they want the buys instead. Come on, Pixie, show me where your smugglers are. Show me, show me. Do you have them? Are you able to smuggle two duchies, buy a 3rd duchy? I don't think you even want to do that, right? Because then I could smuggle back 2 and then buy a 3rd one myself and win off the estate. So they smuggle 1. Where's the other smugglers? Where is it? Where is it? Do you have it? Do you want to play it? You're at the end of the deck. I have to believe you have it, or you chose not to play it earlier on. Here are the squires. Here is the second smugglers. They take the second duchy, and the castle is going to get them a better castle, the opulent castle. But I don't think it actually increased their points, and they didn't buy anything. So now, in theory, I have a chance to finish the game. Triple smugglers and then buy the last duchy. Very difficult to do that, but I already have 2 smugglers in hand, so I don't know if we could find the third one or not. We'll see. Right now it's just about trying to find the third smugglers. And if I find that, I probably will find enough money to buy the last one as well. I already have 4 coins now in my hand, so I'm not concerned. Werewolf draw, play the forum now so that I have the best chance of finding the third smugglers. Okay, so I could continue looking in the deck here for the other smugglers, but I stopped when I saw how much money I drew, and then I figured, wait, I could just buy the last 2 duchies. I don't need to go fishing for the final smugglers. Funny enough, it was on top of the deck, so that makes the calculations very, very easy at this point. And the duchy that broke the deadlock ended up costing the Pixie the game here. But it was a difficult position. I don't really know what you do in that position there. So we win that game and that match against the Pixie. We won that 6-0, which is a great result for us. We move into the 4th match against Talpa Europea. And here's our first, well, the only one that will show from the match here. This, I had to think a lot about the opening here. I don't have Big Kingdom for you, sorry. So I chose Courtyard and Broker for the opening here. I thought about other things. Warehouse Tournament. Broker Warehouse. Because you have things like Crafters Guild and bargain as well as possible. You could bargain for a mint, for example, and then buy an anvil if you want. There's a lot of ideas floating around here. What you want to do is get your tournament, get your province as soon as possible. And I think Courtyard plus Broker will let you do that. Courtyard is draw, which is critical. Broker can be action, but Broker can also give me favors for the Crafters Guild. Crafters Guild, you spend 2 favors to top deck a 4 cost or less on your deck. So you could, top deck a tournament when you know the province is coming, for instance. Something like that. That's why I chose Courtyard and Broker here. And this game is a great exhibition for this card, Broker. Broker can be a super strong card. And there are a lot of options on Broker, and I used but 3 out of 4 of them in this game here. So here's Courtyard for me. I'm also keeping eyes out for the mint, right? That's part of the reason why I bought the Courtyard as well, because you could play the Courtyard, draw 5 copper. That has happened many times before. Trash. Broker will come out on your next turn because you're top decking that Broker. Coming with an estate, you trash the estate to gain coins instead of favors. And you have a copper or 2 floating around still from the mint. You could pick up a silver, you could pick up an anvil, and you build from there. You get a massive trash off with the mint. Half the cards gone, right? Half the bad cards, so to speak. Okay, so here's Talpa's 4 cost. They get the Broker as well. I follow them. That was always going to happen. Now, you have to be careful here. Not careful. You just have to think, right? What is in the back? A Courtyard, most of my money, 5 coppers, and an estate. So, what did Talpa get? They got Courtyard as well. So here, I don't want to draw with this Broker. I could draw 2 cards. I don't want to draw with it because there's a reasonably good chance I could trash with mint next turn. I probably find my Courtyard, play it, maybe even find 6 coppers, buy a mint, trash out. right? So here, I probably just want to take the favors or the coins by trashing an estate at this point and picking up silver or tournament. If I trash to gain favors, I probably won't buy anything. If I trash for coins, those are the things I would buy: tournament or silver. Not warehouse, because we expect the deck to be very thin soon. So let's see what we go for here. Again, not draw, not draw. Don't draw here because you know what's in the back, right? You have a very good chance of getting the mint off there. So we go for the money. We buy our tournament. Okay. The reason for the silver over the tournament there is that the courtyard could draw it. You don't want your courtyard to draw broker and tournament, for example. Both of them dead. Then you'd have to put just one back, and you kind of lose a little bit of value. If it's just silver, you could keep the silver, but if you're going for the mint, it doesn't matter. Okay, so broker, they use the broker to draw. Now I don't know their hand. Maybe that was good given what they had. They discard a courtyard. I can only assume they drew into the courtyard of the broker. So they get arena points as compensation, fine. 3 is our silver. Here, this is guaranteed mint, I believe, because we tracked our deck. We put the broker back, we get the mint. We're looking good. We trashed an estate and 5 coppers by turn 4. Talk to me, Chapel. 4 for Talpa Europea is going to be, I believe, I actually have no idea. Right, so they bargain for the mint here, right? You could have done that on turn 1 or whenever you had the 4 on the opening hand. They choose to do it here. They give me a horse. I love horses. So they trash 4, 1 less card than me. So they are behind, but not that far behind. Here, this one is going to be favors. So this could have been money. I could have picked up a 5, but I want the favors because I have an idea of top decking something on my next turn here. And I could use the 3 to pick up our warehouse at this point. Okay, so here's their broker. Gets rid of an estate. We each have 1 estate left now. I imagine this might be for coins or actions. I don't think they'll draw here. Yeah, they take the coins, discard the mint, pick up our tournament. Great. Here's Crafter's Guild coming into play now. So we've used broker for coins, for favors so far. Here's Crafter's Guild. We put the tournament on top of the deck so we could play this tournament. So we have 2 tournaments now. Discard some number of cards. Trash the mint for coins to get up to province. Yeah, buddy. You're looking real good. So that is what the warehouse is for. Because I knew I could draw, trash the mint, buy the province. And now the warehouse is going to give me almost 100% chance of connecting my tournament with the province. And that's why I bought a second tournament. I knew the second tournament was going to pay off. And to help things along, Talpa dead draws with courtyard. Things are looking real good for me already, and this is only turn 6. Very happy I was able to sit and think and figure something decent out at least here. Second tournament for them, but I have the province already. I don't know how useful it is to get a second tournament when I have a province already. I get the steed because I know I could just come back here and pick up whatever other prize of my choice. I top deck an estate there. I probably should not have. I could have just trashed that with the broker. Instead, I choose to use the broker for 2 points off the arena. That is not right. I should get rid of the remaining junk cards from the deck. I take the princess because I could take whatever I want. My opponent doesn't have province. Followers is always there, and I don't really want it right now because it'll put estates into my deck. I don't want estates in my deck. So we solved the opening puzzle of how to line up tournament with province as quickly as possible. This part of the game now is about how to build, how to get the most out of your turns. I felt it involved Swashbuckler for draw and Anvil for gain. Swashbuckler will eventually get me to the treasure chest, and then I'll be gaining gold every turn. We'll see. All right, Talpa gets their province now. So I do have to watch out. I would like to take those followers now, just to make sure that Talpa doesn't have the followers. You know, I'm greedy like that. So I take the followers here. I will play the followers here. And here I believe I trash broker. We take actions. That's the third use of it. Courtyard puts a card back on top of the deck. And I will draw through with Swashbuckler. I picked up the anvil there because the price reduction from the princess means the anvil has access to more of the board. I could get swashbucklers for copper, effectively. That's real nice. Time for conspirators now off the anvil. And I could even pick up more conspirators here if I like. So we've seen everything from the broker except for cards. But Talpa showed you the cards, right? So full exhibition of broker. Another brick turn for Talpa here. And we are just going to continue on with our deck here. We are able to go through a lot of cards. I get my first coffer of the Swashbuckler. I get some points of the arena, so we end up equal on those. Not that that was very important. A little bit of dead draw here, but we'll start with the Trusty Steed next turn. Talpa gets the bag of gold. I would have liked that just because I could have used the broker to trash gold to draw 6 cards. That was real good too. Very, very good to be drawing 6 cards. Reminds you of Apprentice. Sure, it's terminal, but I can use 1 broker for actions, 1 for cards now, right? Okay, so the warehouse now will also help us populate the discard pile. So we get coffers from the Swashbuckler. I spent 1 last turn. I wasn't paying attention. That was bad. But it doesn't really matter at this point. I am so far ahead. Doesn't really matter. Does not really matter in the slightest. So here we see the trick with the anvil and gaining a cheap card. I was wrong. You can gain up to hunting grounds with it. So I'll have the hunting grounds. I will have that hunting grounds. Buy another broker. Like I said, 1 could be for actions, 1 could be for draw. Could get platinum here if I like as well. But I think conspirator is actually preferred to that. Hunting grounds is, you could also get that as well. I mean, I could basically buy anything here. Buy a second warehouse just for consistency. Playing a little bit scared, but oh well. And I think soon Talpa does throw in the towel here. So Talpa does resign at this point. And that is how, that's all the games I have to show you. I thought I had one more from my last match against Cyrus C. They pulled off something very, very elegant with church and crossroads. They used their church to keep all the green inside the church as well alongside our crossroads, and then it came out and then they drew a lot of cards with crossroads. Somehow that video didn't stick here. Against Talpa we went 4-2. Against Cyrus we went 3-3. So we ended up on 18 points out of 30 for this season, which is enough to get us to 2nd place, which is enough to get us a promotion into the C division next season. But before the next season starts, there's going to be the annual Dominion Online Championship, which I'll be participating in. So look forward to that content. Those games I'll go through individually. It's a single elimination tournament, so I do have to eliminate as many mistakes as possible. All right, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.